Hello again, and for today's lesson, we are going to continue to talk about the division of fractions by another fraction. As we know, in the previous lesson, we had talked about taking the reciprocal of the second fraction and flipping it, and we follow a process which is called keep, change, flip. So if I have a fraction that is 3/4, and I want to divide that by 2/5, that expression can be solved by keeping the 3/4 the same, changing the operation from division to multiplication, and flipping the second fraction to take the reciprocal. I can look to simplify now any numbers that have a greatest common factor, and then in this case there are none. I'd have to look between this denominator and this numerator, and then this denominator and this numerator in order for that to happen. Since there are none, we're going to move through. We're going to multiply the numerators, which comes out to be 15, and then the denominators, which comes out to be 8. We then turn that into a mixed number. 8 divides into 15 one time, and I have 7 remaining. Again, to turn a mixed or improper fraction to a mixed number, I'm going to take the denominator and divide it into the numerator. This here becomes my whole number. This is my new numerator. And this here is my denominator. Now in today's lesson, we take a look at visualizing how this works and coming up with a model, but using a number line. There are a few rules that came up that I taught to my class about doing that. If we take a look at my notes today, we can see that I have some guidance. As we can see, if I am dividing a whole number by a fraction and I want to make a model of it, I can get some information right from the expression. This 4, right in here, or whatever number that is, tells me how many divisions to make on the number line. So if we take a look back at this number line, there are 4 divisions. I have one here, another one here, another one here, another one here, and of course I always start down at 0. So it's a division of 1 from here to here, a division of 2 from here to here, a division of 3 from here to here, a division of 4 from here to here. What I'm actually counting is not the lines, but the space between them. In the fraction that we're trying to divide into 4, we can see that I have an 8 right here. This tells us how many divisions between the ones made in number 1. So, and as you can see, I highlighted those right in here as the small divisions on the number line. Finally, we can see how many groups of this number can be made on the number line. That's what I'm trying to look for. How many divisions of that number? So I'm looking for how many groups of 4. How many groups of 4 can I make in this number line? If we take a look at the highlighted sections, we have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That gives me all of the sections on the number line that I need. And if we take a look at the mathematical solution right here for it, it matches up. There are 8 sections. And as you can see from my class, you're going to be completing the homework tonight, if this were homework tonight, the remaining problems that are here for modeling. Also for homework tonight are the dividing fractions, which we went over. But finally, we're going to have to create some models for the division of a fraction by a fraction. When we remove the whole number, there's some different guidance that we use. And this only works if the denominators are the same right now. So these rules are only for if the denominator is the same. I now will take a look at the denominator of the first fraction. And this is the number of large sections you're going to make on the number line. So we've made 8 large sections. The number 4, highlighted in pink up here, is what we only worry about with the number of large sections. So we're only going to worry about the first 4 large sections. So that takes us right to here. At that point, I'm going to come through and place a denominator below each section that I made. So while this was section 1, this was 2, this was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I now add a denominator of 8 to all of them because that is my denominator that I had in the bottom of the first fraction. I created this as a number 5 actually right here to help people because some of them were forgetting to do that. So we went back to it at that point and we put that as step number 5. Our remaining steps are the same as dividing a whole number by a fraction. The 8 here, this is the number of divisions I'm making between the large sections again. And the 2 here is how many groups of this number can be made. Now I can make 16 groups, as is highlighted right here. I must now remember that's not my answer. That whole number is not my answer because that is actually part of a fraction. I have to again bring this denominator down to put as a denominator below that number, and what that will then produce for me is my answer of 2. So as I divide 4 eighths divided by 2 eighths, my answer is going to be 2. If I look at this mathematically, I keep, change, flip. Here I can find that there's a greatest common factor of 8 between the two and simplify them. I also have the greatest common factor of 2 between 2 and the 4, simplify them. I multiply numerators and denominators, and I get an answer of 2. And that's some guidance for tonight's homework. Again, remember on Bloom's, please feel free to post any comments or questions you might have. I check back on those periodically. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.